Well, this is awkward, but welcome to Whiskey Watches and Wheels. Tonight, you are blessed with just the presence of Kevin and me, Casey. Tonight, we are going to have some good bourbon chat since it's our favorite, or Kevin and I, it's one of our favorite things to discuss. We got a couple things on our tables to talk about, and Kevin's got some other ideas to discuss. He did all the research for tonight. I'm just along for the ride, even though I'm driving the car. So, Kev, what's going on?
Yes, not much. So I guess we'll do the standard watch check.
Check.
Unless you got your same old bullshit watch on.
I did change my watch this week.
Okay.
Although it looks exactly the same.
Right.
I got a turtle on today.
Oh, nice.
Well, I don't remember the numbers anymore, or the age of this one is sometime late 70s, I believe. I don't want to take it off to figure it out, but it's a gorgeous watch. I love it. I want to change the band to like a Velcro or a NATO though, because this is I doubt it's the original rubber strap, but it
is kind of rough because I'm wearing the rubber band today too, and
it's hard.
Yeah, it is kind of hard, especially if you're bending your wrist. I have I'm getting old. H558-5000, 1982. It's an Arnie. So this is my watch.
Oh, the Arnie. I love that one.
Yeah. It's a nice, cool watch. Again, has the, it is an original Seiko band. I don't know if it is the original one, but I wouldn't think so because it was pretty flat. But I did pay a pretty good penny for this one, so who knows? But yeah, kind of like on the wrist here. Funny thing I saw on Instagram, there were some people talking shit about people who wear their watches above their bone and below it. And I can't, they were kind of making fun of people who wear below the wrist, their bone, but I couldn't wear my watch so high up like that. And maybe if you have fat wrists, but I kind of wear mine just like, and I do realize if I do have sometimes a bigger, face watch, I can't really, but I'm not bending my wrist too much.
I think that's an interesting discussion because I think a lot of people, we've talked about it, how getting your bracelet fixed to like fit your wrist size. Yeah, I usually, if they're falling over the ulna like that, it's because your band is too large, right? Like yours at least stays in place.
Yeah, but like if I put my wrist thing over past my bone there, or what do you call it? Your ulna?
Your ulna, ULNA.
Oh, okay. So for those that are non-medical, the bone on top of your wrist there, if I were to do mine, it's so high up. Like, I mean, I feel like it's like I'm wearing high waters.
Mine sits right
exactly
in the corner, right in the corner. Like right in the corner, bracelet and the watch face.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, mine does too maybe, but I think it has to do with your wrists and stuff. So I don't know. I was looking, I was like, man, that would be really high up on my wrist if I put it past that bone there.
I have seen pictures on Reddit of like gentlemen who are rather large and they will have their watch like up here, but I think it's where they can squeeze it to get it on there without buying an extra link or two. I think that looks really goofy. And if you're thinking of like wearing a jacket or a shirt with a cuff, could you imagine how you'd have to tighten the cuff around? Like that would look ridiculous, right?
Yes.
So I do know that when I have to wear a dress shirt, which I don't enjoy, I do tend to push my watch down a little bit,
right?
To be under the cuff.
Especially like I used to wear a lot of, believe it or not, I actually used to have to wear suits and everything. A French cuff. Like I always wore like French cuff shirts, and you can't get a cuff link on if you had your watch that far up. So,
and then otherwise you'd have to push it above the cuff where the shirt expands, and then you could never see your watch, so it'd be completely useless.
So these guys on Instagram kind of making fun of people, and I was like, okay, whatever, clown. But so other than that,
what about what you're drinking?
I'm not drinking anything yet, but Matt is in a birthday party. Go figure. And James is at Farron, so he'll tell us all about that. And I don't know if Matt's going to tell us about the birthday party, but I think it's his daughter's 20th birthday party. So
20th or 21? I don't know.
20th maybe. So Today we're
Okay,
going to talk a lot
Casey,
about
hold
bourbon.
on. Okay,
Oh,
Casey, what are you drinking? Thanks for
oh,
asking, Kevin.
okay, Casey, what are you drinking? Since
I've got a new old fashioned tonight. So I've had this at a bar before, and always want to try it at home because I don't. As we've discussed, like when you go out to a bar and you get an old fashioned, like it's you end up liking it the way you like it, the way you make it at home. I hate the muddled orange, that sort of thing. But I've had a black walnut old fashioned before. So my wife was at a store. She saw some black walnut bitters, so I decided to try it today. It's fantastic. I use simple syrup, a couple dashes of the bitters. I use the same Luxardo cherry and a little bit of the Luxardo cherry juice. I'm using some New Rift 7-year 110 proof bourbon, and it's amazing. It's got the black walnut bitters adds just a little bit of like oaky smokiness like on top of the bourbon, and it's really good. I highly suggest it. This bottle was $12, and it is a nice twist on an old fashioned. That's really good.
since you said that, it's funny that you did say that because one of Savannah's new go-to is this Penelope Black Walnut Old Fashioned Cocktail.
Interesting.
So it's very, very good. I think it's 38% alcohol. I
Mm-hmm.
highly suggest you check it out. Um, and she's been mixing that with hers, and it's pretty good because the good thing is it's not there's alcohol still in it. So if you're using a light ABV like a 90 proof, or I don't know, I do agree with you, Casey. I like to have something now that I've gotten drinking more and more of it. I do like to have a higher proof whiskey because it seems like the simple syrup, the ice cube, the cherry, everything really. And if you start out with a 90 or even 100 proof, I dare say, I say that it's like, I mean, they'll go down super fast and I'm waking up with a headache.
Yeah, I do. I continue to say, my bar bourbon is, Turkey 101. I do think that Turkey's flavor profile, kind of that stronger rye,
Yeah.
I think it holds up. But a lot of stuff, I do think you need to kind of punch up the ABV a little bit, go to
Mm-hmm.
107, 108, 110. And if you're making it at home, you can control the bite by the simple syrup and or, which I hate,
More bourbon.
shaking it instead of stirring it, right?
Right.
Which I always say stir, but or controlling it with Luxardo cherry juice, right? You can really sweeten it up if that bourbon's getting to you. But I think that Turkey 101 or a strong rye bourbon or something weeded or less rye forward in the 107 range, like Pursuits, 107, 108. I can't remember where it is. I think their stuff is great in old fashioned. So yeah, I think that's where the sweet spot is.
Yeah. So that being said, I think we're going to talk a little. We're going to talk this whole 1 hour about, I think, bourbon because we talk about cars all the time. We talk about everything else, but um, me and Casey, since we're pretty good fans of bourbon, we're going to talk about bourbon. So for George, since you're out there, and all our other listeners that we know you like bourbon, this is the hour for you, I guess. So today. I know what you got, but you didn't show anybody. But today I'll show what I'm drinking. I'm going to pop open this bottle. It's Penelope barrel strength, and I haven't had it yet. Private batch, 50. It looks like 57.
So
Yes, 57 proof,
114. Yeah.
114. Have you had any of the Penelope stuff?
Yeah, I've got a couple bottles of it. I first found it. It's been probably 5 or 6, 7 years ago on a road trip out west. It's not something I found here in Virginia. Saw it on the shelf, and while it looks like a simple wine bottle,
Mm-hmm.
um, my wife and I fell for it, whatever, as we're shelf surfing because of their labeling.
Yeah.
The one that I have is like a nice pink, and it's got. I should look in there and see exactly what it is, but
Is it the cigar batch?
no, I don't think I have
Okay.
that. But I've
Okay.
got like I've got some cash strength, whatever. I've got a blue
Yeah.
label, pink label, whatever. Anyhow, it was the labeling on it that we really liked. It was simple, modern, kind of feminine. And the name Penelope, which kind of draws you in because you're like, Penelope, what the fuck does that have to do with bourbon? But it's a good bourbon. And I think that they have been acquired by MGP. Perhaps I could be.
So it says it's bottled, distilled in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, bottled by Penelope in St. Louis. So,
Yeah, so it's MGP's juice.
So I'm gonna do this, and I don't know. My neighbor where I work, he every time he pops something, let's see what he does. If it pops, he goes America. I don't know why. Like this one didn't make a good pop, so I just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. If that's what you guys do. So since this is a new bottle, give me your thoughts on these guys have a lot of bourbon next door, and they always talk about neck pours. And what's your thought of a neck pour versus a non-neck pour, and if that's even a real thing?
So I'll say first, MGP did buy Penelope for $215 million. I don't know that the company was more than 7 or 8 years old. So they crushed it. Penelope crushed it in bringing that to market and gaining market share. Neck pour. I don't believe in the neck pour. I think the neck pour tastes like the rest of the pour until you get down to like, a third or a quarter of the bottle. I do believe that some bourbons need to open up in your glass where, they're super, super, it's usually the high proof
Ethanol.
stuff. Yeah. And you can kind of let some of that like burn off over 5 minutes. Burn off is a terrible word because it's not
breathe. Let it breathe.
Yeah. But I do think that some can benefit from that. But I personally have never tasted a quote neck pour and was like, oh, this is dog shit. And then gone back 2 months later to try it again and thought, oh, this is the most wonderful thing ever. What I've tasted on a neck pour is generally what I've tasted in the bourbon, regardless of where it's at in the bottle.
And maybe for me, I have tasted something was like, oh, not good. Maybe had 2 pours, I don't know, 2 ounce. I pour kind of heavy, as you know. Come back to it, and I was like, oh, I really like this. But I do need to start thinking about when I do that, is it because I drink something else till I wake up my taste buds, and then I go back to, let me taste this shit. And I go, oh, I really like this now. So I think I need to do more of a quote unquote scientific study.
Yeah, I think I totally agree because I think it's tough because so much goes into what you're tasting of that bourbon. And if we go through some of those things, like first and foremost, the current atmosphere that you're in, right? Like, what are you doing at the time that you're tasting it? You could be at a bar with friends, or you're cracking this bar in your office. What's your mindset? And that may sound kind of bogus to a lot of people, but I 100% believe that plays into how you taste things. Secondly, what have you had prior, right? If it's your second or third drink, what are your taste buds doing? What did you have before? Did you have an old fashioned before? Do you have some residual sugar in your mouth? How's that going to affect it? And then that goes into the next thing is, what have you eaten? We know that your food will affect how you taste a drink and how far before, after, or not after obviously, but how long before you started drinking that did you have something? Did you have garlic or onions or some other strong flavor profile that's still on your breath in your mouth? Because you can wait 30 minutes after you had onions and you can still taste onion, right? So how is that going to play into tasting a bourbon that you're not familiar with, that you don't know the profile that you're going to be hit with, and how's that going to influence your mindset when you decide to taste it?
Well, I had for dinner at my work leftovers. I had 2 cube steaks fried in bacon grease, along with some green beans cooked in bacon grease, and some mashed potatoes and gravy, also with the giblets that my wife made.
Yes.
So
this is such an Indiana meal. I love it.
So let's see what this is going to taste like. I will tell you right off the rip, very ethanol. They say it's barrel strength. So why don't you talk a little bit about, is that another play on words, or is that barrel? Because it's not. It doesn't say barrel like barrel. What do you call that? Full
So
barrel, or it's barrel strength. So are they whatever was in that? They're going to still mix the profiles to give it whatever that 1.14 is.
Barrel proof is supposed to mean the proof that's in the barrel is meaning whatever the alcohol level in the barrel is exactly how they pour it into the bottle, meaning
Okay.
it's not mixed with any water. It's
Right.
It's not deproofed. It's not
So
watered down.
barrel
Whatever.
strength, barrel proof would be safe to say same thing.
Same thing. Same thing. Difference in words and how they structure their labels and like what they think is going to jump out at you. But that means the exact same thing. And so I really enjoy a good barrel proof bourbon, but it depends on how old it is, depending on how much you've lost generally ABV levels, right? Because you can go into as high of, if I'm not mistaken now, you can go into the barrel at 125. And if it sits in a hot climate in the top of the rick house, you can lose ABV, right? The alcohol is going to literally evaporate. That's the angel share, right?
Yeah.
Like it goes away. Or that's the devil share. I don't know. One of the shares, the alcohol is gone. So the ABV comes down. That can be really, really good for some bourbons, right? There's other ones that sit in the bottom cold, damp corner of the warehouse and the ABV goes up. You get barrel proofs that move up. That's how you get your hazmats and your whatever. So it's all dependent on where they age them and how they're moved around and the climate that they're in. Typically, something at 114, it probably went in at 115, 116, 120, right?
So this is a 5-year. It's a 5-year. The cool thing about Penelope, at least on this one, because it says private batch, it has the blended mash bill. So so it's 57% corn, 30% rye, 4% malted rye, and 2% barley malt.
So that's a 4-grain.
Yep, 4-grain, non-chilled filtered. And I will tell you, I definitely taste some oak in this. A lot of oak. It's sweet though. I think it's pretty sweet. Let me take a little gander at it again. Very sweet in the front. I like it. Not I thought it was going to go down pretty harsh. It is warm in the chest for sure.
Kentucky hug.
Yeah, not too much though. It's very smooth. I don't get that bite. Like I've been drinking something 7. It'll pop in my head. Baker's 7.
Yeah. Jim Beam product. Yep.
It sticks in the back of my throat when I swallow that. It just like sticks.
That's what she said.
Yep. Yeah. So it's this one pretty good. I do like Penelope, their product. I will say that they're starting to carry. Now you're not going to find this in a Costco, but they have the Architect and a couple other ones. The cigar batch.
An Architect. Yeah.
Cigar batch. I think I sent that to you. I sent something to you. I don't know what I sent to you.
Yeah.
But the cigar batch is probably one of the most sought after ones. The first one, and then naturally there's some higher ones. I don't know what I paid for this bottle, but I'm kind of starting to open them, like you said. So I'll keep on sipping on this, and as things change, I will say that it'll probably get better because it does leave air out a little bit.
Yeah, I think the aerating or whatever you want to call it, I think that is real. Swirling it in your glass, which you'll see you doing. I think that does help. If anything, it gets that really volatile stuff off the top.
Yeah.
Again, do I believe that the bottle needs to itself aerate? I don't believe that. I think whatever's in there is in there. I do think that, again, once you do get some air in there, things will change eventually. But do I think just the neck pour matters, is going to make that significant change? Maybe my taste buds just aren't good enough, and I'm fine with that.
I mean, I'd love to know if what people think, like George or a couple other people that I know that listen to the podcast that I talk to offline. Let me know, because I know you guys aren't going to go on YouTube or anything else. So just send us a text message or send me one, and I'd love to hear your opinions. What are you drinking?
So that was my old fashioned with the new Rift. I'm gonna make the change over here to Wild Turkey 101, the 8-year stuff that they've just recently released. Um, you know, I know you got me this bottle. You sent this up for me because we can't find it around here.
So that
This
is still 101.
still 101. So they took off. So in the 90s, and all previously, Wild Turkey 101, all of it was aged 8+ years.
Okay.
It was all aged stuff. So then when this boom started occurring, the age came off and it went back, or it went to flavor profile rather than age stated. As this boom has slowed down, Turkey's got a lot of product. They always have had a lot of product. Um, they've started to come out with this aged bottle. 8-year is again the year that they had on it previously. And so I really want to try it because I have a 90s bottle of the old quote unquote 8-year. And so I
But
wanted to,
it was never marketed as 8 years. It's just
no,
Wild Turkey.
I'll get it. Hold on. I think
Okay.
this is a good discussion point.
Okay. And I guess I'll just talk to myself. We could play some elevator music or, anyways. And for you listeners out there, I feel like I'm Kelsey Kramer. He actually does have quite the bourbon selection. I think there's 200 plus. So he's very vast. And welcome back.
All right. So it was aged or marketed as an aged product. Here you can see the old label, Wild
Okay.
Turkey 8-year, right? Still 101. The camera's not quite focusing. But this is if
Now I
I've
see here that it says Austin Nichols on it,
yeah.
and that's
Uh,
not on the new bottle.
no. To be honest, I've never read um, it's Austin Nichols Distilling Company, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. That must be I honestly I don't know what that name comes from, and I've never heard the turkey distillery called Austin Nichols, but maybe it was at one point. So I'm sorry I don't know that. I don't know that
Maybe it's
answer.
you think that might have been the distiller?
Yeah, I mean it clearly states that's the distiller, or
Oh, the person.
it says bottled by Austin Nichols Distilling Company.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm sorry I don't know that answer because honestly I didn't really think much of it. But it clearly states Austin Nichols very large
Right,
on the
right,
top of the
right
label.
there in the front. Yeah.
Maybe I should look that up. But if I'm understanding the code that's stamped on the bottom, I looked it up, and I think this is a 90s bottle. Maybe I could be proven wrong if someone else thinks the label is different. This one has a little bit of char in it, or cork, either way. But it's delicious. But I wanted to try them side by side. You can taste the difference in them for sure. The this older bottle is um, it's a little bit more subtle. Obviously, it's the same recipe, but I think it. I don't know that I would call this a true dusty. I don't know if it's old enough to be a true like dusty, but it's got some subtleties to it, a little bit of oakiness that is really good, and not what you find in this newer bottle or a bottle of regular Turkey 101.
Okay. But the flavors are still there, similar. But you're saying
Super.
so the flavors are still there, but just more mild, even though the ABV is still 101.
Yeah, I think it's like it's the same thing, just more of it. It's
Okay.
those bourbon flavors really come through. It's not. I don't think it hits as rye is if that's a phrase. It's not as rye to me. Some of the other softer stuff comes out, but it's a really good bottle. And I got this from my neighbor because he doesn't really drink bourbon. He got it from his brother's house that passed away, and I'm super happy to have it because I would never, I'd never have an old bottle to be able to compare it to. But I'm obviously a huge fan of 101, and having that as a comparison is super fun.
So, with no further ado, what are you drinking now?
This
Just
is the 101, yeah, the new 101.
the new. Okay. All right.
But it's great stuff. It's all the stuff that 101 is. I think this has a little bit more kind of oak on the finish. I think the initial palate hit is very typical of 101, and then it's the finish where it kind of mellows out, and I think that's just the age coming in and kind of probably more sugars in it that kind of mellow it out of it, and I think it's really good stuff.
So, have you had the rare breed?
Yes, I love the rare breed.
So, like you go on Instagram, you see a lot of the people, and they talk to, there's one guy and say, hey, what's if you could drink anyone, um, people will say something, and then it's so funny. I look at people when they go, oh, wild turkey 101 rare breed, wild turkey this, wild turkey, and then they always are like, oh yeah. Um, I don't know if that's like if that's just a like, okay, you really know, or you drink a lot of bourbons to know what the flavor profiles are. Because I've never met somebody who says wild turkey is disgusting. Now, I'm sure there's listeners out of our 300 listeners, and probably some people are like, that's disgusting. But maybe you're just not a bourbon drinker. I don't know.
So, 101 has historically been a relatively cheap product, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so at college bars, dive bars around the country, you could walk in and ask for a shot of 101 or a shot of turkey, and they're going to give it up there for you for 75 cents, right?
Right. It's going to go along with your fucking Paps.
Right.
You got to get, yeah.
And so I think a lot of those comments come from past poor decision making and poor and having terrible hangovers and throwing up or whatever the hell you did. But I don't necessarily think that when you're taking a shot of it that you're trying it and you're tasting it.
Right.
And so you may have that association, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's correct, and it's definitely not it's not correct to the brand or the name or the juice that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the product is stellar. And when you're talking about rare breed, which is, again, I think it's the same recipe. I'm trying to remember stuff off the top of my head. We didn't talk about what we were going to talk about beforehand, but I think it's the same recipe. It's just aged differently, longer, different place. Rare breed is to me, if you like 101, you step up to rare breed because it is probably $15 more a bottle, $20 more a bottle. It is a fantastic staple to put in your home bar that, again, you can drink by itself. You can mix it. The proof point, stands up. It's got a good bite, but its profile is good. It's one of those bourbons that, as you're stating, Reddit and kind of hipsters have latched onto as a good standard, like the standard in bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't disagree with it. I think 101, 101's there for me because I believe in the cheaper bourbons being fantastic for, everyday drinking. I don't think you have to spend $55 or $56, which is, I think, what rare breed costs to have a great experience with bourbon. But if you do want something more, I think rare breed is where it's at. I think it's great.
I've been looking for the wild turkey Triumph. Is it Triumph?
I don't see these things, dude. We just don't get them down here.
So that's really the upper echelon. I think it's $400 a bottle.
Oh.
Again, can't find it. So that goes to show you that those wild turkeys out there that have these bottles that are super hard to get, very sought after. So for people to go, it's wild turkey.
You got me that Kentucky Spirit.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That's whole nother level of bourbon above and beyond rare breed. It's like the next step up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I wish that we would see that down here in Virginia. I wish that it was available so that I could actually drink my bottle. I look at it. It's currently out here actually on my actual like display bar because I'm really proud of it because, again, you don't see it here. And it is so good. It's so good. I've had the 101 8-year, the new bottle, and the Kentucky Spirit sit out there. I'll take a little swig of it as I'm pouring something else, for an old fashioned or whatever. And it's really, really good stuff. And I think just historically, at least in my realm, in my bourbon world, turkey, specifically 101, has always been shit on as like a cheap, trash bourbon. And it's just not. It's just not.
It's funny because I will drink a 101 or a wild turkey at my house, but I feel like when I go out, maybe it's because company and stuff like that, I tend to feel like I'm obligated to try something that I've never tried before or more expensive, which I did that yesterday, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. And it's like, man, I'm paying money for something. I should be buying the $10 pour instead of the, $50 pour or $70 pour. But I guess because I don't, whether you're, trying to show off or hey, we all have a good time. It's not like I go out with my boys or most of the time if it's you, George, somebody else or my buddy TJ, that are bourbon drinkers. So I want to experience something that maybe I haven't experienced before. And
I agree with you. I do think that we tend to do that when we're around other bourbon drinkers is, hey, let's try something new and wild. Like let's do something we haven't done before. But I will say I'll try one of those. I'll have a 2-ounce pour. Let's try this something different. But then for me, I'm going to be like, you know what? Still give me a turkey old fashioned. Like we're going to sit here and have dinner. Give me a steak or whatever we're eating. Like give me the simple as your Jack and diet, right? Like that's your base, like your go-to. That turkey old fashioned is that for me. It's like whatever I'm eating, it'll go with fine. Whatever my baseline for my palate, whatever I've had, like I can come back to center on that drink because I know it so well. I know that bourbon so well. And that's what's fun. It never fails me, right? Like as you said,
that's what I tell.
It is always the same.
He's never done me wrong. So
I can go to a turkey and ginger and I know exactly the taste that I'm going to get depending on the ginger ale they give me because the Seagram's versus Canada Dry are very different. But you know what you're going to get, and that too is part of the fun of bourbon or whatever you drink consistently is knowing exactly what you're getting and how it's going to taste before it hits your lips, so you know where that baseline is.
So while you're drinking that, yesterday, one of my guys, he said, "Hey, let's go out for a drink." So he took me to a place called Proposition, or I think it's Proposition. It's that in itself, it's funny because it's in Plant City, which is a small little town that I used to go to when I had my motorcycle shop. And that was a biker bar. It was in the middle of downtown. We had bike nights, I believe, on Saturdays. And that's where all the bikers hung out. I mean, it wasn't really a biker's bar, but I kind of, it was. I associated because it had, Paps and, they had the specials and stuff like that. Place, phenomenal inside. They really did a great job of the inside.
It's been renovated since you hung out there? Yeah.
100%, because it was a biker bar. Now it's like a speakeasy style. I looked at the menu. I mean, $75 fillets, in my opinion, for that city that we're in, that's probably one of the most expensive restaurants in that city. Plus, it's a bar. So I know they'd spent a lot of time and money into it, but they had $90 a rack of deer or venison or something. It was like $90, and their food prices were very expensive. And I also believe that their bourbon was expensive as well, especially for that area. Like now, I'm going to be 50 years old, and when I was doing motorcycles, I was 30, so I was 20 years ago. So I see these people that are maybe just getting into it. And I look at the prices, and I was astounded
it's almost gatekeeping, right?
Yeah, I was very astounded by, I saw 1924. They wanted, I wanted to say $45 for an ounce and a half pour. Shit. When I went to Brooksville at a Porsche event, it was $25 for that, or $20, I would say, for that same pour. And theirs was a barrel pick. My wife loves the midnight or midsummer's dram.
Yep.
$75 a pour. I sent her a picture and I said, "Hey, this is the shit that you're drinking." Yeah. She's like, "Well, I got good taste." But so I was kind of looking at stuff, and I was looking at some of the things. I had a Penelope cigar, $50 or $45, a 1.5 ounce pour. So then I saw that they had a Myrtili, which everybody like, oh, you got to have it.
I've told you my opinions on this
Yes,
bottle.
and
I've
I
mentioned it
was.
several times.
Oh yeah. So everybody that I remember drinking that, it's and I know people are gonna hate me for this. It's been the old lady that's 60 years old that's her nightcap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. Or they're like the old lady that plays cards all the time, but she's the alcoholic. Oh, I love it. Now I'm going back maybe 15 years. Oh, Elmer Sealy. Oh,
You're
that's my
going
go-to.
more,
That's
yeah, you're more years
that
than that, but
right.
yeah.
That's my go-to. That's my go-to. And I'm like, what? Okay. Um, Tried it. I was expecting it to be like, because I didn't look at the bottle.
Uh-huh.
She opened it up, and I was expecting to get some good notes. I will tell you, I did like it, but I liked it because it was so fucking soft. It was like Bezo Hayden. It was like I
Yeah.
drank it, and the hype, like it was good, but it was no notes, nothing nothing that I
Nothing
really
hit you.
nothing hits at
Yeah.
all. And then I asked the lady, I said, "What's the ABV on this?" And she was like 90 proof, and I was like, "Oh," and I sent you the picture, and you're like, "That's lame." And then George, he loves the bottle. Like, we really need to get his ass on here, but he loves that bottle. But I don't know, maybe I'm turning into a snob where I'm looking for some notes, some flavor, something, and I just felt like it was just a $55 pour. Like, and
Yeah. I told you this the other day when you were texting me, and it is true that I have not had it in legit 20 years, right?
okay,
I lived across the street from a CVS in college. I would walk to the CVS. I would buy a bottle of Elmer T. Lee for $25 or $30 off the shelf. This would be in the mid 2000s, and go home and drown it in, Coca-Cola, ginger ale, whatever the hell I had. And I would, of course, try to drink it, normal. And I was definitely not a quote unquote bourbon connoisseur, at the time. I drank a lot of vodka and gin like everybody else did at that time, admittedly. But that bourbon, I would try. The one of the guys I hung out was big Manhattan fan, so we drink a lot of Maker's Mark Manhattans. We would have Elmer T. Lee Manhattans. Anyhow, it was just not that great of a bourbon. Like it was a daily drinker. Mix it with anything. As I say, like it's one of the bourbons that if you can pour it for your buddy, and if he falls asleep, you don't care. If he pours Coca-Cola, you don't care. If he pours Dr. Pepper in it, you don't care, right? Because it's like a mid-level, entry level, whatever you want to call it, $30, $35 bottle. Now that it is a $300 bottle on the secondary market, I think it's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I agree.
I haven't had it in 20 years, but unless they've truly changed the direction of that label and what the juice was then to now, and they very may well have, right? They could have.
I don't
But
know. It's pretty light to me, and
it
like
ain't
I
worth
said,
$300.
that was I drank it good, but for the price and for the hype, I was expecting a lot more. Like, yes, it was but it was, when I say it was good like a Basil Hayden. It was good like it's a good bourbon.
Maker's Mark, right.
Well, no, because if I drink a Maker's Mark, I'm like, this is trash. Like, I don't like Maker's Mark. But it was good enough that I was like, oh, okay, it's smooth. No, like, hey, my mom can drink this. Like, it was, but again, I was like, oh, and then I sent the picture to George too, and he was like, yeah, I love this stuff. Casey hates it. And at the same moment, you sent me a text message, trash. And then I sent it to him, and he was like, ha ha ha. So had that. They had a lot of stuff up there, but when I looked at the price, and my collection is not big, probably a third of yours. And while you were getting your thing, I think I was telling the listeners you have like well over 200 bottles, but maybe 300, I don't know. But
getting close.
Yeah, I did find it very hard to look on the wall and say, hey, what haven't I had here? What's and
that's kind of fun though, isn't it? Right? Like you're like, oh, I know that I do not need to spend money on that. Like I know, because I've got a bottle at home, or I tried it, here down the street, whatever. It is fun that when you go into these little bars, which, here in Richmond, we have some hole in the wall places that Ashley and I try to go because we don't like the big places, but we'll go and I'm like, I've literally had everything here. I don't need anything. Give me a turkey old fashioned, like,
Yeah.
or a redemption rye old fashioned. Or I'm thinking of Rittenhouse, bottle and bond. That's what they have a lot of here as their well. But like, you don't have to wait. Well, I won't say waste, but you don't have to blow money on a bottle that you haven't had because you've had them all. It's either in your home bar, or you've tried it. I think that's fun. But as we see the market start to shrink a little bit, I think that's going to happen to us a lot more often as the offerings start to dwindle. I don't know if they're going to shrink yet because it'll take a while for the restaurants to filter through and kind of recognize that the bourbon boom is kind of like passing. But it'll be interesting.
But if it's a bourbon bar, I think they're still going to have
We'll see how those things last. I mean, you and I will still go. You and I will still seek out, a bourbon bar. Like, we want that.
Because I do remember, like, even so, right next door, been there for 40 years, was a fish fry camp. And I was like, oh, that's the fish place. I remember that place because it would smell because they would fry catfish and stuff on the same day that we have the bike night. And what is it turning into? It's turning into a brewery, like one of those IPA places. And I would agree with you. Like, I went to England, I think, in 2017, and all the old pubs that we went to, they were pubs, but they weren't serving beer. They were serving gin because that was the new thing, the new now. And who knows, like you said, who knows when something would fade away? Because we've seen it before where people, what was it, the 70s, 80s? Nobody was drinking whiskeys or bourbons,
or
right?
90s, yeah.
Yeah, or 90s. Yeah, definitely 90s. So
it's the vodka revolution, right?
That's right. So now that you say that, that's when, Grey Goose came out and Sky and all these vodkas, and everybody was, drinking Belvedere and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens with, so you're saying you think that the distilleries will go out of their, because we have a lot of distilleries that
I think we'll see consolidation, and we talked a little bit about this with Kenny of Pursuit when he was on here. But I do think that we'll see some consolidation. You'll see the big, the big five get.
So you're saying they'll start buying all the barrels from all these mom and pop places?
No, I think they'll start buying the labels. I think these little places, these smaller distilleries, will start to go out of business over the next 5 or 10 years. Do I think it's going to happen tomorrow? No. I don't think it's going to happen that fast. But we are already seeing some of these, some people who started to tried to start up in the last, 3 or 4 years. They're going into bankruptcy or being bought out with, and so over the next 3, 5, 6, 8, 10 years, I think we're going to see some of those mid-tier bourbon startups that some of the ones we visited in Kentucky that were where we bought them because we're there and we're like, let's go bourbon. We'll support you this $145 bottle, but it's kind of hot garbage. Those are going to go away. Because
so if somebody has a whole bunch of barrels sitting in a rick house, they go out of business. You think, and like
somebody will buy them up.
Yes, they'll buy them out. So would they label them as say, and if it's the same mash bill, or do you think they will buy them up and call it like New Haven? They're different series because they buy, or do you think they would grab that label and use that label?
It depends. It depends on how good the bourbon in those barrels are. Because think about. I'm sorry to disparage the name here, but I'm going to. But think about Jay Mattingly, right across from Buffalo Trace, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff that they were aging in house that we tried. Like we bought a bottle, but it admittedly it wasn't great, right? Like we enjoyed our tour. Yes. And we enjoyed the guy and the story and what they're trying to do there.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but the bourbon was not very good.
Right.
But say that those 40 barrels that they had, they go out of business, they have 40 barrels, and I don't know, Buffalo Trace right across the street decides, hey, we'll give you $50 a barrel for that stuff because you're just going to dump them. and they put them in their warehouse and they age them until 12 years old, and all of a sudden they're phenomenal. They have a choice. They bought them over there. They could use their label, which they're not going to because that's got no name recognition.
Right.
But they will put something on them. It'll be some special warehouse, single barrel release or
Yeah.
single,
Yeah.
small batch release on some. Maybe it'll be, I don't fucking know, whatever labels they have stored in the house. Maybe it'd be Weller 110. I don't know.
Right.
But they'll call it something special and different. And so
Okay.
any other distiller or producer could do that, bring them into their warehouse and age them however they see fit from that point forward, and give them some special name or some special label and call it something different. Because obviously it's a finite number of barrels, right?
Right.
There's probably very few of those NDPs that have enough barrels to age that someone could take it over and be like, oh, this is be a new strain or a new label that we could create to continue moving forward, because
Right.
they're not buying their facilities usually.
Right.
They're just
Right.
buying the label and their barrels.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's MGB, they're gonna make their own, especially if it's like a Buffalo Trace. So why are they gonna pay somebody else to
Right.
do it? So,
Right.
yeah, that's good. So we'll see what happens. I know they had a lot of. I'm trying to think. Redwood. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I know Redwood. Yep.
They had a lot of their stuff out, different labels, very heavily. Seemed like that was like whoever's selling that bar was pushing that label, because they had a lot of those, and I saw that barrel or that bottle in every one of the lockers. That was one of their free bottles. So,
That's a Sonoma. It's a California brand.
Mm-hmm.
It says it's a distillery, so I'm assuming that they're distilling their own juice. It's owned by Purple Brands, which I'm not familiar with. Perhaps it's a wine company being out there. Oh, hold on. It says that it's a blend of distilled whiskey made in California, along with whiskey from Kentucky and Indiana. So they're a blend,
Okay.
which I think is probably wise to throw in. You can throw in 2-year juice with some Kentucky or Indiana aged stuff and turn it into a decent product. So that's probably really smart.
Well, which is funny though, because they're not cheap. They're about the $100 bottle. So again, back to your point, we all know it's about marketing. Why buy something like that when, I don't know. Now that I drink a lot more and I taste and you and I both agree, we don't have that palate where we could spit out like, oh, it has this, it has pepper, it has tar, it has, I don't know what, honey. I just know what it tastes like.
It's good or not.
Yes,
good.
or it tastes like crap, right? So, and we're usually on the same page. So, is it marketing? Is it hype? Is it because, let's face it, hey, you buy a $20 pair of shoes, or you buy or $20 pair of slides, or you buy a $300 pair of slides. It's the same damn slide, but I think it has to do with, just like everything else. Oh yeah, this is a. Now I say that, but I also have tasted some phenomenal bourbons that are like, wow, okay, now I know.
So I think a lot of this plays into the age or the heritage of the distillery. You don't see any of these, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you know of any or anybody else knows of any. I don't see any of the new distillery that's 20 some years old that's coming in and saying, oh, I've got a $45 bottle of bourbon here that is going to blow you away. We see that from Wild Turkey, right?
Yeah.
Here is our entry level 101 product that's $30 a bottle or whatever it is, where in Florida or wherever you are, it changes so much. That is a staple, a standard. Where do you see that in the distillery that's been around 5 years? They can't afford that. If it's 10 years old, they probably still can't afford that, right? To sell at that price point. If we use something, again, I always go back to them, but if we use something like Pursuit as a measure of where they're trying to hit the market. Now they're trying to be, a relatively normal bottle of bourbon on your shelf, but still premium. They're at $60 a bottle, 60 or 65. So
But I
that's
think that they're a little bit different because they're blending their stuff for flavor.
agreed. So shouldn't you, in theory, be able to get that, because they don't advertise the distiller on the
Right.
bottle, right?
Right.
Only the makeup of that bourbon. So they're not, putting Finger Lakes or, whatever on the label. So should that bring the cost down or the price of it down because they're not
Should
advertising
no,
with it?
should bring it up. But I think Kenny's a little bit different because he's looking for, and remember, he has batches. He's like
Mm-hmm.
that niche like batch. Like, okay, we only got so many of this. Where like you have a company, they're just buying all these barrels from and they're putting in their rick house
And hoping it turns it. Yes.
And if
Yeah.
it's not, they're still going to market it as it's the best shit over. But
Yeah.
as I say, well, it's the same juice as this. So it all then plays down to marketing, hipsters,
So
and
then,
everybody else that's thinking like, oh, this is like, great stuff. Like,
yeah, I agree 100%. And that's how we come back to, you have Redwood, who's relatively new.
never had any of that stuff neither. So I can't say that
So
it's good or
say
not.
it's 10, 15, 20 years old even, and they're still having to sell at $100 price point to presumably make a profit or break even, whatever, position they're in. Then you have to sit and scratch your head. Is this stuff actually that great?
Right.
Or could, if they were producing enough, could that price come down if it were a better juice? And your business, we know supply and demand, we know how that works. And in the bourbon boom that we've had, if it were that good, in my opinion, if it were that good over the last 5, 8, 10 years, that you would see them go up, 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 that price may stay the same because they're trying to be a premium product, but you'd see the availability, etc., explode. And you just, in my opinion, again, in Virginia, we don't see that.
Such as we'll use Blanton's, or not Blanton's, but Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
Like, good bourbon, tastes good. The price, and we're not talking secondary, but we're talking the price. It's the same, but
$32,
it's just,
$34, $36
because
bottle.
it's a good bourbon. Like, I love a 107 or even a 12. Good bourbon. So back to the same little place that we went to. My employee, he's getting into bourbons and cigars and stuff like that. So I said, I'm gonna get you a pour. So I went to your old favorite, Evan Williams, Bourbon. Bond.
There you go.
And it was on the top shelf. So he thinks it's because they had to get the ladder up there. It's up there with Pappy. It's $10 a pour.
You're in for a treat.
Yeah. So he's thinking, oh man, this is gonna be. I'm like, oh. He's like, oh, what is that? I'm like, oh, you're see. So he doesn't know the pricing. So he drinks like, oh, this is really good stuff.
See?
I said,
is it
good? Is it good because it was on a top shelf, or is it good because
Actually
he goes,
good.
no, because it's really good. I said, you know what?
That's a
$10 pour.
fucking...
That's the cheapest pour on this menu.
Yep.
And I said, that's the $17 bottle. He goes, what? I'm like, yeah.
And I'm sorry, but this happens a lot in bourbon, because if you blind taste test people, there's just so much into the heritage, the name, the brands, and I get it. And if I'm building a brand, I would do the exact same thing. But if you can taste some of this stuff and take off the veil of price and name, you can find these stellar products that are cheaper. Bottled and Bond, Evan Williams Bottled and Bond white label, $17. Is it going to blow you away? In my opinion, no, it's not going to blow you away. But is it a fine bottle for $17 that you can drink straight and not want to hurl it?
I thought it was better than a Emerald
Case in point.
I thought it was better than some of the other stuff that was $40, which leads me to think, why doesn't somebody do like some of these artists or some of these people do? Why doesn't, like, say, I don't know, old Pappy or not old Pappy, old grandfather or Evan Williams or Wild Turkey. Do a fake company that's like marketing, right? It's the same juice as their shit, but they really push and nobody like they try to hide it. Kind of like you see those commercials.
Because of
The law.
the laws, the stuff that has to be published of where it's distilled, and their not NDP, but their distilling number, the DSP rather.
Oh, that's right, the distilling number.
So it'll tell on you, and these things have to be put in the government papers, and people watch those things like a hawk, and it'll tell on you. So while you could get past some, percentage of dorks out there that don't, read this stuff, you're not going to get it to the quote unquote mass drinkers of bourbon, the especially the bourbon nerds.
But does MGP have the distillery number on the bottles? Because I don't see it on this one.
Well, it certainly says Lawrenceburg, Indiana, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But mean, okay, so but you could say Bardstown, Kentucky. Where's Wild Turkey done?
Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
So you get how many distilleries in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky?
None. No, they're not Lawrenceburg. They're click. It starts with a C. I'm trying to read. No, this bottle says Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
So you're saying
also
that
sometimes says Claremont, Kentucky.
So you're saying every city there's not multiple distilleries in a city.
In Bardstown, you could say Heaven Hill or Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Okay, so you got those two.
Yeah, but then it's Four Roses that's in Claremont,
yes,
Kentucky,
okay,
right? Like Woodford is only in Woodford. There's nothing else there,
right? Okay.
What's in Garrett, but like they have
because the towns are so damn small.
Yeah.
That you don't even need to put a government number on there. That's it. That's like, that's the only distillery that's there. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. So yes, you can't pull a wool over somebody's eye because it's like, well, we know that's what it comes from.
Yeah, you really, as far as I know, there's nobody been able to do something like that. I mean, we went to Bullet. You saw where Bullet was. That's in the middle of nowhere, all by itself. Yeah. Heaven Hill and Bardstown's close together, but I mean, all these places are so spread out.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is where Angel's Envy and all those places are at.
Downtown
like
Louisville.
Yeah.
Right.
Louisville.
Like you could say downtown Louisville, but even then, like if you've ever been there, there's no actual distillery except Angel's Envy, right? They're all just, facades.
Yes. Tourist. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's Bourbon Row. You're there to sample and drink. So, Green Rivers, Paducah, they've got their thing down there. Pursuit's down there. Victor's is down there. That's all awesome. Evan Williams, Angel's Envy, blah, blah, blah. But they're not actually there.
Maybe I'm just, I would love to have like one of those companies that, comes up, it's bottom of the shelf, but then it's like $300 bottle. And then, years later, people go, oh yeah, by the way, that was Evan Williams, or that was.
But don't they? They kind of do that in some respects. Of say like
you're right with MGB because we all know it's
all the same stuff,
but it's all marketing, right? Like the only difference is, we're doing a different blend,
or they aged it in a different location, right? Penelope aged in a different location than Redwood, right? It's the same juice.
But is that really a difference? No, and I agree with you. Is that really going to be the price point of a $60 bottle or $300 or $150 bottle? In my opinion, fuck no. It's not. Right. I mean, you're not getting that much, not with the same age. If we're going age to age, yes, I can see like 10, 12, 15 years, something like that. Okay, but if you're doing a 5-year, and I'm sure George is laughing his ass off right now, like, but I think that if it's 5 years and you go across, what's the difference between
but a
9%?
A 5-year, if you take the same MGP juice or Heaven Hill juice or Wild Turkey juice, and you do a 5-year in Kentucky, versus a 5-year in Texas, versus a 5-year in California, those will taste different. because
Yes.
their temperature
Climate.
variances.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
and we
Yes.
know, as we've discussed a lot, like the barrel is where you get most of your influence. So it does matter. But at the end of the day, when you see this was Lawrenceburg, Indiana, bottled in Texas, or Lawrenceburg, Indiana, bottled in Kentucky, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, bottled in California, you know the basic profile that you are going to get.
And that's one that the same bar that I went to, they were doing was it Lone Star, I think it is, bourbon, the Texas one. They had all of, if you say their name, but
or are you talking about Austin?
Nope, it's a Texas. I think it's Lone Star or Lone.
Okay, yeah, that is a bourbon. Yeah.
Okay, so they had a lot of those up there, super dark, 5 years, 7 years, but I would think because of the heat, it was yes, a Garrison Brothers.
Garrison, yeah.
Garrison Brothers. So I was looking at a lot of the Garrison Brothers stuff, and man, it was all like dark. And then I'm just thinking, like, wow, I wonder if that's just because the heat there, it's just soaking into the barrels are just, I mean,
it's sucking in that bourbon, right?
Yeah, yes. So I saw a lot of the stuff, and he had asked me, "Hey, have you ever had any of the stuff?" I said, "No, I have not had any other of the stuff, so I can't." But I looked at the bottles against the backdrop. I was like, "Wow, they're pretty dark." So,
well,
maybe
like
I'll have to try them.
Still Austin is supposed to be amazing, and I have not purchased any. At least here in Virginia, you can buy it direct from Still Austin and have it shipped to your door. I'm sure Florida, being a free state, you can do the same thing, which I need to do because I've heard fantastic things about Still Austin stuff. They're doing their own juice down there, and it's supposed to be really good.
Oh yeah, so these are kind of hard to get, but I do see them. They do have them at Total Wine here. I'll see if I can pick you up some. I'm assuming you want the cash strength single bourbon because I'll see if I can pick one of those up because I do see that it's available and it is $80. Yes, they have chicks pictures of girls on them and stuff like that.
Big fan.
Yes, but I will say, hey, it's 116 proof, so I would like to see what that is because it's saying butterscotch, brown sugar, pecan with deep long finish, so you know it's going to burn. What's 116 proof? Yeah,
good stuff, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
like they all their descriptions, everything I've heard about their stuff is really good. And you know, Texas is a new market, relatively speaking, to the bourbon production world, and it's so hot. You know, you got to think that it's going to quote unquote age quicker as it gets forced into that wood.
And isn't that typically what a Kentucky bourbon is? They had that heat wave, and that's what produced the great.
So the point of the heat is you need the cold typically to push it back out of the wood. If it goes into the wood and it stays, that's not good because you can't extract that. You don't get the sugars out. You typically need the cold to push it back out of the wood. That's why Kentucky, Virginia, Tennessee, Ohio Valley area, Missouri even, but
it does snow, like in Austin, for instance. Hey, It gets hot as hell there, but it will snow.
Right.
So
if you for these years where they had in Austin where they're busting everybody's pipes that are on the outside of their house, probably a great time to have some bourbon in some barrels that are in warehouses exposed to the elements where you can really get that stuff back out of the wood and put a nice spin on a hot bourbon. So
have you tried the old bourbon?
My what?
The old Wild Turkey?
Oh, you want me to?
Because you said you were going to do a side by side.
Oh, I've done this a couple times and I enjoy it every time. So I was drinking some water.
So I hear a cork. So the 1990s, is that a cork top and the other one's a plastic one?
What I'll say is that the old cork is
it real cork?
They both look, to be completely honest, like the exact same cork and style.
But it is actually cork or is it plastic?
It's cork here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so it's good cork. Okay.
And here's the new one, if I can get it in there. So the actual cork makeup and the bottle topper looks to be exactly the same, which is nice to see because so many of them have gone to
plastic.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's an added expense. Like, I like that when you find something with a cork. I mean, they're getting it. Like, I mean, I'm looking at this. I know it looks like it, but it's not a cork. It's fucking plastic.
Synthetic.
And
A synthetic cork. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But not too many people are doing that. So, and, you know, I hear people, oh, well, you know, because of trees and stuff. Well, wine
Cork,
people still have
well,
no
that
problem.
and cork is if you read about it, a sustainable product.
It is, yes.
Cork, because all they're doing is pulling the bark. It's the cork is the bark of the tree. They pull it off in these big sheets if they do it right, which I think is actually kind of fun to watch on the internet. But pull those sheets of cork off, and the bark grows back. So cork farms are sustainable. It does cost more than a synthetic cork, but if you're a bourbon person, which a lot of bourbon people are, like, nostalgic, and you want that real cork, and I kind of agree with that. Like, when I open a bottle of wine and it's a synthetic cork, I'm like,
It's right up there with the twist top. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I look at it, I'm like, they could be the best juice, but you're getting a couple points taken off because it's not
exactly right. Like, the synthetic corks are probably better. Like, they won't skunk. Like, they don't allow, like, air infiltration. So the synthetic is probably better. But when you get a Chardonnay that's supposed to be good, and like a nice, like, oaked Chardonnay that's buttery and like I want a real fucking cork. Give me a real cork.
Right. And I'm seeing that too with now some of the burn. I mean, hey, look at Weller 12-year. It's a twist cap. Like, I mean, and you're like, oh. But I think 107 is not a twist cap.
Yeah.
I think 107 is maybe they are. I don't know. I'm a big Weller fan, so
but it's wild. It's wild how those little details matter, right?
Yeah.
And when you're a heritage brand like Wild Turkey, I think those things matter more, even on a cheap, quote unquote, cheap bottle of bourbon like regular Turkey 101, because you have guys who have been drinking that since the 70s. Right? And they want it to be exactly fucking the same thing.
And let's face it, the cost of making Wild Turkey is the same cost as making Blanton's. I mean, if the recipe, right?
Yeah.
The money's the only difference
in the age,
right?
In the label.
In the age, right? So what really is the difference between a 7-year from a higher or a 7-year or 8-year? We're using 8-year. An 8-year from this or an 8-year from another. If it's, I mean, I don't think that corn is going to cost more from one place to another, or rye.
So I think
the rent on the rickhouse land or
taxes for sure.
Yes,
but I think
remember they're both 8 years now.
So if you have two different exact same recipes side by side, and you put them into 2 barrels made from the same place, right? The same, what do you call those? Stave?
Stave. Yeah,
whatever
the
fuck stave. The tree place.
Barrels.
Yeah, the same barrels, and you put them into the same rickhouse at the same level for the same amount of time. Obviously, the only difference there is the cost of the label.
But let's face it, though, they're all in Kentucky. So, I mean, it's not like, for the most part, one's getting frost and the other one's not getting frost.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Because you can look at Buffalo Trace is good. They talk about this, is that they have all of them have rickhouses around the state, but rickhouses that were, say, down in Garrett County where the tornado hit. Now, those tornado bottles, that's a bad example. Tornado bottles are special because they were hit by the tornado. But rickhouses that are on top of the hill versus rickhouses that are in the bottom of the valley will age differently.
Yes, I do know that because of the temperature. Okay, let's go back to the tornado thing.
They were only special because
they got hit by a tornado, because that rickhouse got hit by a tornado?
The E.H. Taylor bottles are only special because they were tornado bottles. There's nothing different about them.
No,
they were just
tornado them off the ground because, So, again, marketing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you tasted it. So what do you think?
I taste
Which do you
exactly.
like better?
I like the older
Oh,
better. In this
oh,
of these two, I think the older is better. It's a little more mellow on the palate. It's a little more
could it be because there's air in the bottle?
um, well for the amount of time, but the amount of liquor that's actually in the bottle is
Yes.
pretty similar.
Yeah.
But you're right. The older stuff, which I did not open fresh, I didn't control how much air has been in there. Could that play a part? Who knows? I'm sure it does to somebody's palate who's better than mine. But to me, if you're tasting them side by side, I'm going to say the older stuff is a bit more. All the flavors are there, but the way they meld together are a little bit different, a little bit better. It's it is much more of like to me a caramel, like just I want to just I would drink it out of the bottle. Like it's so good. It's really really good. Um, and that's to me again saying a lot when you compare it to Turkey 101 other 8 year, new 8 year, which I think is a fantastic product.
Okay.
So would I prefer a night? I'd love to try like a 1980s bottle of this stuff, which are out there. Like
Oh
people,
yeah, I'm sure there's tons of
dozens.
grandmas that got him in the
There's 70s bottle. There's a bar in Lexington and in Louisville.
especially in Wild Turkey because like you said, everybody's dad drank that shit. And
Yes.
there's I know of a place right now I could go to, and if I could still get in the house, there would be a bottle of Wild Turkey there.
Yeah. And so there's a place, there's a couple of these places popping up around the country that do like, buy old Dusties. But
Mm-hmm.
in Lexington and Louisville, it's called Justin's House of Bourbon. And you can go in there and depending on what they have available, and you can spend big money to go in the vault and try like old stuff. But like they have bottles of this stuff and Jim Beam, a lot of Jim Beam decanters for stuff from the 70s. Like, and you
Wow.
try it and you say it's 90 proof, but it is sublime. Like you try it and it's not like a basic 90 proof of today that where you're like, this doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. The trees were different. The barrels were different. And
Yes.
the influence of those large ring trees versus the tight ring trees that we have now is significantly different. And this older stuff is the new stuff is great, but this older stuff is just different, and it's very very good. And I've only had an opportunity to try a couple of old bottles. I sent you all the picture. I think we maybe even talked about it here about going to Jack Rose up in DC where they have vintage bottles. I tried a 1972 or 1976 Old Forester versus a new Old Forester. I'd take the old one every day. Like I'm super happy I tried it. It was only like $25 to pour, which tells you how much of it is out there. But it's if you have an opportunity to try a Dusty versus a new product, it's a wonderful experience, and you can taste the difference.
Okay. Well, I mean that goes to show. Hey, maybe for flea markets or not flea markets, when you go into garage sales, they're like, hey, you got any bourbon you got back there that you want to sell? Like on the old stuff underneath one of the old Canadian whiskey, or you always see the Canadian what's that? Number 7 and
Seagrams.
Seagrams, yeah.
Well, and the old decanters were really cool, right? They had cool shapes and cool colors and stuff. And if you can find those things, a lot of them are unopened. Like a lot of them were never touched because people just collected them and whatever. Like I've never found one, but there's a lot of them being sold on the secondary market and to these historic or whatever you want to call them drinking, facilities. So
I mean, some of these bottles that you see that are like 1950s and 60s Jack Daniels. To buy an old Jack Daniels bottle, I mean, some of the bottles alone are going for, even a Pappy bottle, an old Pappy bottle is going for $100, $200. So, well, I know you got to eat. We're an hour and 14 minutes, unless I keep on going because, but I know you have to eat. So, next week we'll see what we got going on with the rest of the guys, and maybe we'll get them to talk about whiskey, or maybe in case you start doing these more often.
Maybe we'll.
We can keep on going.
Ever?
Yeah, we can keep on going on and on and on. I think what we need to start doing though is you and I maybe start doing some where we open two or three, maybe two bottles
I
of
can do that.
bourbon, and
Yeah.
and we'll just try them out and see what we do. And if the guys want to go, if they got something, birthday parties, drives, or whatever, we can use them up as fillers.
And maybe we'll talk about a potential new car purchase. Maybe that's going to be working.
Cool.
You're buying a new car? Is that what I heard?
Me?
No, I'm fucking with you. All right.
I'm not buying
Goodbye.
shit. All right. Good night, guys.
Goodbye.
See ya.